Swazdo Lateno. Alright, let's talk about affinity and how to level up efficiently. The math behind affinity is kinda stupid, so we'll just simplify it. A general rule is 25% of affinity earned goes to the warframe, 75% is split between your weapons. This only works if you're in a party and other people kill enemies. Also, as long as allies are in affinity range, you get this affinity as well if you're the one using AoE nuke warframe. If you're solo, all affinity with warframe abilities goes to your warframe. Or 50% to the warframe, 50% to the weapon you got the kill with. Your companion used to get half of your warframe's affinity, but it gets the same affinity as your warframe now, which makes companions level up faster without affecting your warframe. There are 4 main ways people rank up warframes and weapons. First, defense. Most people use Hydron, but that's not great. The resources on Sedna are kind of shit, so it's better to get a group in the chat and do a resource farm along with ranking up. Io Jupiter is great for neural sensors. Helene Saturn or Casta Ceres for Orokin cells. Tycho Unlua for neurodes. Another method, and the most popular one, is Sanctuary Onslaught. It's basically a survival, but the faster you kill, the faster the enemies will spawn, and the enemy limit is always max, so it is a good place to get affinity. If you're the one nuking, most of the time it's people trying to get carried, which makes it low affinity. So if you want to level up a warframe there, you're gonna have to get lucky and run into a Volt, Mirage, or Saren trying to level stuff up, or make a leveling party for it with recruiting chat. Here's a very basic build for a Volt. This works in Sanctuary Onslaught up to round 5. To make this build better, just replace Augur Message with another ability strength mod, like Augur Secrets or Blind Rage, and you can go longer. This is the maxed out build for a Volt. It is still the cheapest of the nuke builds still, even when maxed out. Mirage takes quite a bit of investment to make her good. You have to max out Blind Rage and Transient Fortitude. But other than that, you can use Normal Intensify and Normal Flow if you don't have the primed versions. This is my maxed out Mirage. It destroys Sanctuary Onslaught and the star chart defenses up to wave 30 on the higher leveled ones. So use it if you got the resources to do so. Unfortunately, Saren isn't worth mentioning. People use her for defenses and Sanctuary, but she kills slowly. She does have the best scaling though. She is the only nuker who can solo Steel Path defenses. Well, that's not completely accurate. Mesa can solo Steel Path versions too, but she is super high investment. Not something you will likely have maxed out for quite some time. Anyway, moving on to passive leveling. Some people like this method. It only really works at higher mastery ranks, when you have some weapons and warframes maxed out. Very slow at low ranks. The people who do this just take on ranked weapons or warframes into survivals, spies, or railjack, and just let their equipment get whatever affinity it gets, without worrying about maxing its rank. It will get there eventually. And finally, the leveling method I use, which can be used for both weapons and warframes, Adaro Sedna. You can also do this at lower level missions for bad weapons, or at lower ranks for easier enemies. But it takes more than one trip. Telesto Saturn is the most popular place to do this for warframe leveling. If you want to level up weapons, use Ivera, Equinox, or a Loki with Baruch's Lull subsumed onto him, which is the fastest way to do this but requires the Helminth. This method is very simple. Max your energy out when you spawn into the mission, go invisible, put enemies to sleep, then kill them with the weapon. You can use an amp to kill them too, if you want to level those up. If the enemy wakes up before you kill them, put them back to sleep. They have an alert level if you look at their icon on the map. It's a red arrow. If it's an arrow inside of an arrow, they are alerted. If it's a full red arrow, they are fully alerted. If they are fully alerted, you have to put them to sleep twice to reset the alert level. You get stealth affinity bonus for killing enemies like this, you can see in the top right. It goes up to 500%. The goal is to keep it at 500% the whole mission. If you run into an Eximus, shoot them with your amp to take the overguard off. Then you can put them to sleep and kill them the same as any other enemy. Eximus give a lot of affinity, so it only kill them at 500% affinity bonus. Ivara takes about 8 minutes to do this with a full build. This took me about 13 minutes. Which is still faster than Equinox would be. But if you use Loki to level up weapons with LOL. I've done this in 5 minutes with shitty mastery fodder weapons. And he silences all weapons with his augment. So you can use more damage mods. To level up warframes this way requires you to subsume Banshee. So that you can put her ability silence on another warframe. That warframe will want duration and some range mods. You don't want a high of a range so just overextend it or stretch. You also want arcane trickery. And the ski AI to keep you invisible. Nariman is good while leveling up a warframe this way too. You get 45% more affinity from melee kills with affinity spike maxed out. And you're gonna be using the ski AI to do finishers on enemies. Let's get Archwings out of the way. Unfortunately Salation Epton is the best place to level these up. It isn't bad with an affinity booster. But it takes like 20 minutes to a half an hour to level up an Archwing without a booster this way. And finally, Necromex. The best place to level them up is Railjack. If you haven't leveled up one of your Archguns yet, do bounties instead. Plains of Eidolon, Fortuna or Deimos. Whichever is the least annoying to you. That's the end of the video. Get out of here. Go level stuff up or something.